Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on the video. Before we start things, I just wanted to mention that I was looking at my subscriber count the other day and I noticed that 92% of you who watches my videos ain't actually subscribed. So if you could, please click on that subscribe button because it really does help the channel out. And also, once we do hit 500 subscribers, I can finally do my giveaway of a free copy of WWE Battlegrounds on the console of your choice. So, after saying that, thanks again, and now please enjoy the interview. Hello, welcome to that 90s Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, James Sunstone. Today, returning to the show, he is a former X Division champion and the current Super X Cup champion, Mr. Ace in the Hole himself. Ace, Austin, how you doing?
Fantastic. Ready for tapings again. Ready for Impact Wrestling. Ready to go.
Cool. And speaking of Super X Cup, you made your triumphant return at Genesis, defeating the likes of Cousin Jake, Suicide, and Blake Christian. What's it like winning the Super X Cup, especially like legends from the past, like Chris Sabin and Samoa Joe winning it? So it must have been pretty good for yourself to win it.
Yeah, especially because the list is so short so far. It hasn't been done that many times yet. So that was really cool. And Desmond being the previous winner was really cool too, because like he was one of those guys that when I first came out to the Midwest at the beginning of my career, I was pretty close with. So yeah, no, it was amazing. And those guys in the tournament, that was only the second time that me and Cousin Jake,
right,
had a match in Impact Wrestling, and the first one was, well over a year. I think it was before the Purple Hair, actually, the first match that we had, and that one was crazy. So this one I was super happy with. I think that was like kind of the underdog match of the whole tournament. It was just so good. And then of course the finals with Blake was a masterpiece.
Yeah, and it was a great match. And I remember when the tournament brackets got announced and like talked to a few like fellow Impact fans, and they was all aboard the Blake Christian hype train. And I'm like, no, just wait and see. My boy Ace is gonna do it. And lo and behold, you come out victorious. So great to see it. And yeah, such a great tournament. Like you got like you've done this a couple of times now in Impact, just doing back-to-back tournament matches, and you always seem to be end up on top.
I can go the distance. I like to play the long game.
Cool. So, thing I didn't mention last time when we done that interview, like you actually joined an Impact. So, how did that come about?
That was it's really just a combination of everything. I've done a really good job in my career of being in the right place at the right time. I feel like that's just the best way to get that opportunity. When you're ready for those opportunities, and like I spent so much time making sure I was ready for anything that came my way, that traveling around and just making sure that my face was seen and that I was in the prime spot for an opportunity. And I always was. Anytime a spot opened up, like even earlier on in my career on bigger indie shows, I was always there with somebody helping out, set up, whatever. Like I was always there. So whenever a spot opened up, I was one of the first people to get it because I just made sure I was in the right spot. And it's just that constantly doing that is what led to this, to Impact. Really, it was I started out in Pennsylvania on the East Coast. Spent like a year and a half there where I trained with the Wild Samoans, and then I started spending a lot of time out in New Jersey with the Combat Zone dojo, and did that for like a year and a half or so. But I still bounced, back and forth from Pennsylvania too. So I just kept doing that. And then like I just built relationships with these guys out at CZW that were much bigger on the indies, and they were traveling all the time. So I always made sure that like anytime I had a weekend that was open, anytime I didn't have my own booking, I was in somebody's car and I was going to a show somewhere.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I made sure I was going with the right people, the people that were working for the bigger, the more important, like just, the top level ones. You just gotta spot level guys, make some friends. And then, that's what led to my relationships that I made in the Midwest. And then I moved to the Midwest, and I spent about, a year in one spot there, moved somewhere else, spent like a year. So yeah, it's just, I try not to stay in the same spot for too long.
Yeah.
The relationships in the Midwest, that's what put me in the right spot when Impact, picked up the OVE guys and Sami Callihan, especially. I was out here, so anytime Sami had to drive to an Impact show, if he wasn't flying, I was always in the car. I was always there, ready for anything. So that led to those opportunities. And 2018 was a huge year for me as an independent performer, because that's when I did like WWE and then MLW before I finally settled with Impact. I settled down with Impact, and it's been amazing since. So
awesome. And last time we spoke, so it was on the road to Slammiversary. So myself and yourself, we thought you was going to become world champion. Wasn't to be for that night, but it was voted match of the year in the Impact Awards, and such a great match. And you making it to you and Eddie Edwards, your rival, making it to the final two. So Slammiversary was such a big show and big success. So what was it like being in that match, but also seeing all these fresh faces come into the company as well?
Man, I was so focused on the world title that like nothing else mattered.
Yeah.
Nothing else really registered with me. I was so dead focused on that main event that, it wasn't until after that I kind of realized, it was like the highest rated, Impact show in history. And that's a pretty big deal, especially I've only been I've been doing this less than 6 years still. And I'm 23. So like, it was definitely disappointing how it ended, but as I say, I play the long game.
Yeah.
Victory is inevitable. I've still got time. I will still be the youngest world champion in the history of this company.
Awesome. And with Impact lately, there's been a lot of hype, obviously, with, I suppose, this cross promotion with AEW. And I spoke to Don Callis during one of the press conferences, and I mentioned the fact that we've seen some AEW stars pop over to Impact. And I said, what's to stop some of the Impact stars come over to AEW to make their claim? And the one name I did bring up was yourself. And I said, one day we'll see Kenny Omega hitting a promo. All of a sudden, Ace Austin comes out, hits the phone, and stakes his claim. Is it inevitable that that'll happen one day?
Oh, I think it's inevitable.
Yeah. Cool. And also, like we was mentioning there, Bound for Glory. So you started teaming up with Madman Fulton. I think you just started that relationship when we spoke last time, and you was in the 4-way tag match. So how's it been like? Obviously, you're more focused back on singles, but during that time frame, being sort of a tag team, what was it like working tags with Fulton?
It was a very new experience. I didn't spend much time at all coming up doing tag team stuff, almost. So being, falling into that position and then being in there at the top level was like, again, it's kind of like a perfect cadence to my career so far. It's like I always have to like learn on my feet. I really like kind of just like figuring out, in there, if I get to be under pressure, I feel like I perform best under pressure. So us falling in that tag team position and learning how to be a tag team was perfect. It was perfect storytelling. It was a real life story being told every week in front of the viewer's eyes. In Fulton learning how to be a tag team, leading into this huge match at Bound for Glory that, like, we were the least experienced tag team in the mix, obviously, and we were the least experienced tag team in Impact really at the time. So like, just being able to hang was like, I think, testament to our abilities.
Awesome. And we mentioned Eddie Edwards being one of your rivals, and one of your main rivals, Trey Miguel. He's recently returned to Impact, and I know you like to focus on your own career, but how does it feel seeing one of your rivals returning to the company?
I mean, me and Trey, I can't deny that that when you put us in the ring together, the product is, I think, great for business. So, personal feelings aside, it's going to be great for business.
Awesome. Cool. And feud, you've embroiled him at the minute. You've done a couple of matches with Matt Cardona, but Josh Alexander seems to be being a bit of a pain. Scored the upset on Fulton the other day, and seems to be in your grill. So, what's your thoughts on being in this feud?
I think that I think that it's only temporary. I think that he will learn that he needs to mind his own business. That's what I think. He needs to stick to what he knows.
Cool. And in 2021, what's the main goal for Ace Austin? Have you still got that mindset, becoming the youngest world champion, or have you got some other goals besides that?
The youngest world champion in the history of this company. I want that to be my. That's going to kick off my legacy. It's already been, the X Division title, X Division Superstar of the Year, Match of the Year, 2021 Super X Cup. I want to be the youngest world champion.
Awesome. So, Ace, we're down to the final segment. So, I mentioned it off camera, that 90s wrestling podcast. So, I'm going to ask you some 90s based personality questions. I know you're pretty young. You was born in 97, but we'll go a bit old school. So, I suppose the first question is, what's your favorite 90s movie?
Oh, man. Favorite 90s movie. Well, I'm a huge Batman fan. So, like, I'm just the Batman. Honestly, any of the Batman movies, I love all of them, all the way back, 80s, all the way through.
Yep.
So,
have you heard about the rumors that Michael Keaton might be joining up for the Flash movie?
Oh yeah, I did, and that's gonna, yeah. I don't see why not. That would be so perfect.
Yeah,
that's a great idea on DC's part.
Awesome. Favorite 90s TV show?
TV show. X-Men.
Yeah, awesome. And this one's always the fun one. I know you're a video game player. 90s video game.
That's got to be No Mercy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. It is a great game. Like I never played it till like quite a bit after, because I was always like a PlayStation kid. But then when I got like an N64 a few years ago, just to build up a retro collection, it's like No Mercy like every day. So yeah, pretty damn awesome.
I've had pretty much like all of the. I had some experience with all of the systems.
Yeah.
I'm a PlayStation guy now. 100%.
Cool. Awesome. And speaking of wrestling, favorite 90s wrestler?
Oh man, yeah, Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's like just my favorite wrestler.
Yeah. Awesome. And I would imagine, I was about to say favorite 90s tag team. I'd imagine it's going to be the Hardy Boys.
For sure.
Yeah, cool. The last one, and this is the hardest one. People always struggle with this. Your favorite 90s match?
That is a hard one. 90s match. Man, I don't know. I'm not really good with like the dates, with like, especially like when I started wrestling when I was so young, or started watching wrestling when I was so young. I didn't really have the concept of like what happened when. I just watched King of the Ring '98 recently. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. Undertaker, Mankind, Hell in a Cell. It's just crazy, emotional. So
great pick.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for coming back on the show. It's great to have you back on. Like I said, off camera, you're the reason I've got this relationship with Impact Wrestling now, so I wouldn't be here without you. So it's great. But before we do go, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My Instagram and my Twitter are the same. It is at the_ace_Austin. Um, you can go to either of those profiles, and there will be a link that takes you to everything else. All of my merchandise stores, Pro Wrestling Tees, I have that. My Shop Impact, direct links to my Shop Impact merchandise. What else? Cameo. I'm on Cameo. I'll put over the Cameo. Yeah, get a Cameo from me and choose a number between 1 and 620, and I will tell you about the match. That's 620 matches. I keep track of my matches, so that's I want that to be my Cameo gimmick.
Yeah.
About the different numbers. So just pick a number, buy a Cameo, pick a number, and I'll tell you about a match that I had. Yeah, and that's it. Watch Impact every week on Impact Plus now. That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Good. Yeah, I was about to mention that wrestling fans can watch Impact on Impact Plus, and also UK fans can catch the repeats on their 5-star. And it's growing every day, Impact. And 2020 was such a big year for Impact, so 2021 it can only be bigger for us.